Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for 17 News at Noon. I'm Nicole Gitsky. We'll begin this afternoon with the latest on the wildfires burning across the state, with hundreds rescued as flames closed in around them. A record-breaking fire season this year with 2.2 million acres scorched thus far. More than 24 major fires are burning, leaving hundreds of thousands fearful they'll have to evacuate.
Just say some prayers. We don't want to see this place go up in smoke.
Prepare for evacuation.
The Creek Fire near Fresno now stretches more than 256 square miles after burning for just 4 days. More than 140 people were rescued yesterday via helicopter after being trapped while camping and hiking in the Sierra National Forest. And thousands of firefighters are working to stop the spread of the flames following a heat wave that only served to amplify the blazes. And our local firefighters are helping in the battle against the wildfires. The Kern County Fire Department sent a strike team to help crews working to stop the Creek Fire. This same strike team assisted with the River Fire and Canyon Complex fires. There are about 85 county firefighters assisting throughout the state. And the Bakersfield Fire Department sent a fire engine and incident management team member to help with both the Castle, Creek and Red Salmon fires, respectively. Another engine with 4 firefighters was also sent to help with the shotgun fire about 5 miles north of the Castle fire. Well, hundreds in Kern are still waiting for the power to come back on this afternoon after PG&E performed public safety power shutoffs to help prevent more fires. The shutoffs began around 7 last night. PG&E says it expects to restore power to those affected around 2 this afternoon. The shutoff affects 638 customers, which includes some homes and businesses in northeast Bakersfield and communities south of Bakersfield along I-5 near the Grapevine like Levick. The utility says you should enter your address on pgenealerts.com to see if you could lose power. Statewide, these shutoffs affect 172,000 customers across 22 counties. And the community of Lebac was hit with those shutoffs, and residents there made sure they had it to make through until power is restored.
My aunt's on oxygen, so it's going to be kind of hard for her. So luckily we have a generator that if she does need her oxygen, which she does when she sleeps, then we just got to make sure our generator's running.
Patricia Reese-Smith says she was notified the power would go out around 7 o'clock last night, so she made sure she's prepared. In addition to making sure they were ready to use their generator, Reese-Smith says she also went to the store and purchased bags of ice to keep her food from spoiling. In Southern California, Edison says its customers should also watch for outages. At last check, the utility says close to 2,000 customers are under consideration for a power shutoff. It would affect people in Bear Valley Springs. If that happens, the company says the outage may last until tomorrow, so they're asking people to be prepared. If you have any questions, you can call SoCal Edison at 1-800-611-1911. And firefighters are investigating after a car fire breaks out in East Bakersfield. It happened around 1:30 this morning near the intersection of Haley and Bernard Streets. City firefighters and the California Highway Patrol responded to the scene. There were no reports of any injuries. That fire remains under investigation. And in your 17 Court Watch, investigators are returning some property seized during an investigation of a Tehachapi woman last year after they arrested Wendy Howard on suspicion of murder in the shooting death of her ex. Detectives say they're returning Howard's phone along with computers seized during the investigation. Howard is accused of shooting and killing 57-year-old Kelly Reese Pitts in June of last year. Howard is currently out on bail. She has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and is due back in court October 23rd. Now turning to the latest in the coronavirus pandemic, Kern Public Health reports 1 new death along with 169 new cases today. Over 13,000 people are isolated in their homes. We should also note over 13,000 people have recovered. 161 are isolated in local hospitals. The death toll now stands at 297. Well, a potential major setback for researchers of one of the multiple coronavirus vaccines now in trials, with trials now halted after a participant fell ill. Drug maker AstraZeneca announced yesterday that clinical trials for the University of Oxford's coronavirus vaccine were put on hold as they review safety data. The safety data will now be reviewed by an independent committee. Oxford and AstraZeneca was the third partnership to enter phase 3 trials in the U.S. Pfizer and Moderna began their phase 3 trials in late July. And the head of the National Institutes of Health assures lawmakers that a pause in a major COVID-19 vaccine trial is proof that safety is paramount. Dr. Francis Collins appearing before the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions for a hearing on vaccines, with the Surgeon General announcing that pharmacists will be able to administer the COVID-19 vaccine and sharing a warning for the upcoming flu season.
With both COVID-19 and the flu circulating this fall, this will be, in my opinion, the most important flu season of our lifetimes.
Let's send things over now to Kevin. Now, Kevin, we are feeling the effects here, but, across the U.S., there are other things taking place.
We've got the smoke drifting down our way. It'd be nice to see a blue day, but that's just not going to happen while these fires continue to burn. Right now, the temperature 91 in Delano, 93 in Bakersfield, 83 in Buttonwillow, and then we have 60s and 70s in the mountains, and Lake Isabella checking in at 82. So around the state, not a lot happening. We've got 82 currently in Sacramento, 86 in Fresno, 70s down to the south, and where we're finding a much cooler day is in Vegas, 75 there right now, and 83 out of Phoenix. And here's look at the daytime highs, 95 in Sacramento, mid-90s for Fresno, and look off to the east. Vegas is looking at a high today of 83 degrees. This morning, their 24-hour temperature difference was down 21 degrees. Today, Phoenix at 91. We've got this area of low pressure over the Four Corners region right now. It is bringing some moisture east, and for us, we've got this northeasterly flow. That is going to bring in some cooler air for us today. It's also been generating those winds that we've been seeing. We've seen some gusty winds in the valley, and those will continue into the mountains throughout the day for us. Here's a look at the headlines as we go throughout your Wednesday. We've got the air quality, which is poor. We know that. 90s will remain in the forecast. Yes, the next 7 days, no triple digits. The red flag warning continues into the Kern County mountains, so fire danger is extreme right now. And the last rain that we saw was June 5th, and we picked up 2/100 of an inch. Here's a look at the national weather, and we've been tracking some crazy weather with that area of low pressure. We had snow in Colorado. That is continuing. We saw snow in New Mexico, and now this rain is spreading to the east into Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and now into parts of Iowa and Wisconsin as well. Today, a high of only 66 in Salt Lake, 46 in Denver. They were in the 80s just days ago, 49 in Omaha, and then we warm things up as we travel east, and today we're looking at 81 in New York. Let's take a look at our forecast. Air quality unhealthy for sensitive groups. Your AQI at 150, and your forecast highs will be in the 90s. Bakersfield, 96, 94 McFarland, 93 out in Taft with a light breeze. As we take a look at the mountains, I still expect the winds to gust near 40 miles per hour, 82 in Frazier Park, 79 in Tehachapi, 80s to lower 90s into the Kern River Valley. And then for the desert today, gusty winds at about 35, and we're looking at 85 in Mojave. Ridgecrest finally getting a break in this heat as well. They're looking at the upper 80s today. Here's a look at that extended forecast, 90s throughout the next 7 days, so very little change. In fact, next Tuesday, we're going to be in the lower 90s, overnight in the 60s and 70s. For the mountains, we'll keep you in the 80s starting tomorrow throughout your weekend. A little bit of a warm-up for the weekend, but then by next Monday, we'll be right near 86. And then for the Kern River Valley, we're looking at the 90s across the board, but again, a little bit warmer heading into the weekend with the upper 90s Sunday and Monday. So 90s, that's good news. Air quality, not so good.
Yes, I was just going to say, I think we're all looking forward to just seeing a blue sky or somewhat blue sky.
Yeah, it was so crazy to see San Francisco.
Oh,
it really looks like pictures you would see from Mars.
Yes, it looks like a completely different planet, and here we are.
See. Very sad.
All right, thanks so much for that, Kevin. All right, well, with improving AQI numbers, Golden Empire Transit is discontinuing free bus rides today. KGET has been offering free rides in lieu of the poor air quality throughout the Golden Empire the past few days. During that time, you could ride the Get Fixed routes and the Get a Lift all day free of charge. Funding for those free rides comes from the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant. KGET will update riders about free rides if air quality worsens. Taking a look around the state, no trick-or-treating on Halloween. Now, that's according to health officials in Los Angeles. The county's Department of Public Health has banned trick-or-treating activities along with Halloween parties, carnivals, and haunted houses. It's the latest update to the county's coronavirus health orders. Health officials say the activities pose too much of a risk for spreading COVID-19, but not all Halloween fun is banned. Pumpkin carving and costume contests, car parades, and drive-through attractions are still allowed. Health officials suggest anyone participating in events this Halloween to wear face coverings and practice social distancing.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.